What's up guys, Mike here, and today we are going to be talking about the 2002 Western Conference Finals. Now before we get into those finals, let's just talk about basketball for a second, because basketball is a sport that we all love because the drama is unscripted. It's not like wrestling, it's not like a normal TV show. We don't know what's going to happen, and that's what makes it so interesting. That's also what makes this conspiracy theory so scary, because as NBA history has gone on, people have started to question whether draft picks or even games were staged and set up by the NBA to make things more interesting. Which, of course, sets the stage for the 2002 Western Conference Finals between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Sacramento Kings. Now, this game is the most controversial in NBA history. Many people point to this game as a clear example that the NBA fixes games. And so with that said, let's just dive into why people think this game might have been fixed. The 2002 NBA playoffs were highlighted by two dominant teams. The first were the Sacramento Kings, the top seed in the West, and a team that was fresh off a dominant regular season in which they finished 61-21 and gained the respect of NBA fans everywhere with their non-selfish play. Led by a core of Chris Webber, Mike Bibby, Peja Stojakovic, Vlade Divac, and Doug Christie, the Kings fully believed that they were good enough to win the NBA championship.
I'm trying to win a championship right now.
Meanwhile, the other dominant team in 2002, the Lakers, had a season that was considered quite the opposite, as chemistry issues and Shaq's conditioning problems dominated their headlines. Regardless, both teams were good enough to win the first two rounds and meet in the Western Conference Finals. The 2002 Western Conference Finals matchup between Sacramento and Los Angeles was particularly interesting due to the bad blood between the two teams. The Kings and Lakers had already faced each other in the previous two playoffs, with the Lakers winning both series, and were both not afraid of bad-mouthing the other franchise.
We're not worried about the Sacramento Queens. Not at all.
And while the Kings held home court advantage and had the best record in the NBA, many still felt that the Lakers would turn up their intensity and reach their third straight NBA Finals. Instead, the Kings jumped to an impressive 3-2 series lead, which set the stage for Game 6, a matchup that is now considered the most controversial game in NBA history. Now before we continue, let's talk about the Lakers for 1 second and why the NBA would be so interested in putting them in the finals. Let's start with this quote by David Stern. When asked what his dream NBA Finals matchup was, Stern answered, "Lakers vs. Lakers. I would be lying if I told you there wasn't a special fascination with the Lakers." So yeah, you could clearly see that the NBA views the Lakers as the most interesting team in the league. So in 2002, who do you think the NBA would rather see in the finals? The Kings and Nets or the Lakers and Nets? And so, as we watch a highlight film of some of the ridiculous calls that took place during Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals, let's consider some facts. The Lakers shot 40 free throws to the Kings 25, including 27 in the fourth quarter. 27! That's more than 2 free throws a minute. Backup Scott Pollard fouled out in 11 minutes. Vlade Divac fouled out on what was a controversial call, and Chris Webber had 5 fouls, which meant that he had to play less aggressive because if he fouled out, the Kings probably would have had to bring in a fan to play center. With that said, let's dig deeper into the game and look at the calls that made this so controversial. Now again, before we continue, I just want to set the stage here, because this is only the final 3 minutes of the game. Now leading up to this final 3 minutes, there already were a tremendous amount of calls that the Sacramento Kings felt were fishy, and so did the commentators. Put yourselves in the shoes of a Sacramento King player or fan. As the game is going on, you're getting mad because it seems like the Lakers are being favored. Still though, you manage to have a 2-point lead, and then this happens. With just over 3 minutes left, the Kings are up by 2 points and have the ball. They go to Chris Webber, and he is called for an offensive foul as he makes a jump hook. Let's let Bill Walton give his thoughts here.
And this is a terrible call.
Yes, this is definitely a flop by Horry. Look as he throws himself back after the contact, which means that instead of an end one, which would have put the Kings up by 5, the Lakers now take the ball and almost immediately, another controversial call happens. Now, this play starts with Chris Webber getting away with a foul call, which is ironic, but I'm not going to hide the facts. However, the refs make up for this call by calling a foul on Vlade Divac for this. Not only does this not seem like a foul on Divac, it also does seem like a foul on Robert Horry, if anything. Look, Horley is clearly wrapping his arm around Divock, but it's Divock who is called for the foul, which is his 6th and eliminates him from the game. Of course, this foul also leads to foul shots, as the Kings were well over the limit at this point, and Horley knocks down both to tie the game. With their next possession, the Kings go to Chris Webber in the post. Webber shoots what looks like a horrible air ball, but he then looks at the ref for a call. Now, it's hard for us to really see what happens here, but if we look closely, it appears that grainy player A hit Webber's arm on the shot. The fact that Webber missed so badly and was looking for a call certainly makes this look like a missed call by the ref. Continuing on, Shaq hits a free throw, and now, down 1, Bibby hits a cutting Vanderberg with a pass and...
Finding Vanderberg, and he is fouled by only...
Yeah. Shaq clobbers him. Was it called a flagrant? Of course not. On the next play, Kobe drives baseline, Webber blocks the shot, and a foul is called. Look as Mike Bibby drops to the floor with disbelief, and the commentators agree with him.
Webber has a great block on this ball. I'm not sure where any foul is.
You can decide on this one, but looks like all ball to me. Which brings us to the final controversial call in this game, or should I say no call. Watch here as Kobe Bryant elbows Mike Bibby in the face, then continues on as no whistle is blown. But maybe no referee saw this play, you may be thinking. Oh, wait. Yeah. And so, after this no call, Kobe went on to hit both free throws, and Mike Bibby missed a 3 to tie the game, which meant that the Lakers won Game 6, and then they would go on to win Game 7. And let's consider this. With 3 minutes left, they had gotten hit by a bad call, and instead of being up by 5, they found themselves on defense. From then on, not a single call went their way. Even the Chris Webber no call was quickly reversed. So if you consider some of these 50-50 calls, you also have to consider that just none of them went the Kings' way. Alright guys, well, we saw the video, and it certainly does appear that some questionable calls went against the Kings in those final 3 minutes. It is entirely possible that the refs just had an off game and maybe just called some bad calls. That happens, they are human. Again though, it does make sense that the NBA would want the Lakers here, and they do have a little bit of a questionable past, as we've seen in past videos. And final note on this video, Tim Donaghy really didn't want to mention him because that guy doesn't have a lot of credibility, to be perfectly honest. What he said could have been a lie, who knows. I didn't really want to go on the word of someone with that kind of character. Instead, we're just looking at facts here. And so that wraps up today's video. I just want to say, if you haven't already, subscribe. I know, you're going to have to see more of this face. That's unfortunate, but there's some cool NBA stuff in here. And enough self-promotion. I'm sorry. If you're still here, you're the man. Have an awesome day, and cue that music.